Hello, welcome to Liz Rocks and Stuff. I'm Liz, and it's time for episode 63 of What's in My Tumbler. We are going to start out with the Coquina Jasper coming out of final polish today, and I actually am pretty happy with how this turned out. It's not shiny. I knew that was probably going to be the case because it is a softer rock, but it's smooth and the patterns are gorgeous. But to get to there, first we're going to give this a rinse. This was in stage 4 final polish for a week. So we're going to get all of that very chocolatey looking slurry cleaned up and then put it back in the barrel, and we're going to do a final burnish on it. I use borax for my final burnish. That just gets the very last bits of the polish off so that you have the best chance of seeing how shiny your rocks are going to be. Like I said, in this case, these rocks did not get shiny, but that was always going to be a possibility given that the type of rock that this is. So this is going to go on for a burnish for just a few hours. I don't do burnishing or cleaning cycles overnight like a lot of people do. I just do mine for a few hours. So now that those are done, we're going to get them rinsed off. Just a little quick rinse. Make sure we get all of that borax off of the rocks, and now I'm going to sort them. It does take quite a while because there are quite a few rocks here, but they look good. And now, if you remember when I did these first, I did two batches of the initial rounding over. I did one no media, no cushioning, and then one with cushioning. To be honest, I couldn't tell you which of these rocks were in which batch. They look exactly the same coming out of the end. I'm going to pull out a few. They do have somewhat of a little sheen to them. They're not completely matte. They're not completely dull, but they have a little bit of a sheen, kind of like a satin finish. And you can just see those patterns are just really, really prominent. So pulled out a couple to show you, and then I'm just going to do a quick flyover of the whole batch. And I'm just really happy. I think I'm going to use these as a bed for a planter or something. I have a fairy garden I'm thinking about putting together, so I think these might look really good there. So I'm happy with how these turned out. And moving on, we're going to go to mix it up. This is my mixed batch that has a bunch of different rocks in it. These are rocks that were leftovers from other batches that just I didn't have room to move them on. So we are going to be rinsing these off. These have been in stage 2 for a week. They were finally enough to move into stage 2. And so we're going to get these all cleaned off and then put them into stage 3. I did forget to do an inspection. I typically, between stages 3 and 4, I like to inspect, see if anything is broken. Sorry, between 2 and 3, and then again at 3 and 4, I like to make sure I don't have any chips or breaks or anything like that. I did forget to do that this time. But we're going to put this, I use ivory soap to do a cleaning cycle between all of my stages except for 1 and 2. I don't usually clean between 1 and 2. But between the other stages, I like to do a cleaning cycle with ivory soap, and I grate mine. Some people just shave it off of the bar. It's either way, it works fine. So I'll do a tablespoon of ivory soap for a few hours, and that is what I use. Now, there was a discussion in comments about how you do your cleaning cycle. Some people will use borax. Borax works just fine too. I used to use borax for this part. Ivory soap can leave a waxy residue on your rocks, so some people don't like to use it. It's really up to you what you want to do and what works best for you. So this is going to stage 3. There's a tablespoon of borax, 3 tablespoons of stage 3, and this is going to go for a week. And now we're moving on to the marine photography. This is ocean jasper and picture jasper together. The two big rocks that are kind of greenish, bluish, that's the ocean jasper. The rest is all picture jasper. And it's looking great. Again, I forgot to inspect these for breaks and chips and all that. It's been a hectic week, so I just completely forgot. But I'll inspect them between the next stages, make sure there's nothing going on that I don't want to move along. And so these are looking good. Again, been in stage 2 for a week. And so we're going to do a tablespoon of ivory soap and let them tumble for a few hours. I don't remember how many hours I did this time. Typically it's about 6 hours or so. And then we are going to get those rinsed off. The foam is nice and not white. When it's not white, that tells me that they really desperately needed that cleaning cycle. That grayishness is the grit that it was able to pull off. So now we are going to be putting these back into the barrel. I'm excited to see how these turn out. Jasper is usually pretty good for getting shiny. Now, I was not happy with how full this was. It was only about half full, so I did add a bunch of tumbling media to make up that difference, make sure that I'm not going to get any bruising or try to prevent that. So then we're going to do a tablespoon of borax, 3 tablespoons of stage 3 grit, and move these along. And now we've got currently being called Bedrock. This is a batch I started last week that is some larger rocks from my rock bed because I want to use, my husband wants to use them for some photography staging. So I have 3 big rocks. The 3 big rocks are the only rocks in here that I care about. So I'm not even going to look at the other ones. There was some unused grit in here. It did settle quite a bit, and I think that's just because I have these bigger rocks. They're going to cause problems like that. So what I'm going to do is just take a look at these big rocks, see if they're ready to move along. They're not. Probably need about another week, and then I'm just going to dump the rest of them back in here. Like I said, I don't care if those smaller rocks get shiny, so they're just going to go straight back into the barrel. And then now I'm going to add a tablespoon of borax, 3 tablespoons of stage 1 grit, and move the... No, I did 2 tablespoons of stage 1 grit because it didn't use all of it from the last batch. So I'm just going to assume that it's not going to do it again. And so now shout out to the commenter from last week who told me that I should have thought of it myself, but Bedrock, Pebbles Flintstone. This is now the Pebbles Flintstone batch. I love that name. All right. New barrel, because I got the Coquina Jasper was done. Just like I said, I am going to try to fix the Ruby Rose batch. And what I'm going to do with that to fix it is I'm going to do a week in stage 1, hopefully to remove all of the bruising that we had. And then putting more stones in so there's more cushioning. So this is actually the leftovers from my prairie agate that I'm adding to this batch. And so it's very full. This is like almost too full right now. So we're going to do a week in stage 1, and then we're going to do a week in all the rest of the stages, but I'm going to use the stage 1 to try and remove all of the bruising that happened, and then hopefully at least get some of these rocks to be a little bit shiny. So we'll check on these next week and see if they just needed to be cushioned more, and see if you can fix a bruised batch. I've never tried to fix a batch with bruising, so we're going to see, is it possible? I'm just going to call this Ruby Rose Take 2, and this is in stage 1. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was a good video, and I hope to see you back next week.